Hello, everybody, and welcome back to 5 Easy Questions, where we break down the stock market for new investors. Today, I am talking to President, CEO, and Director of Northern Dynasty Minerals, Ronald Thiessen. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Maddy.
So I read that Northern Dynasty Minerals is advancing the world-class Pebble project in Alaska. What does that mean for people who would have no idea what a world-class Pebble project in Alaska is?
No, it's a term that's generally used within the industry that denotes size, scale, minerals, grade, and the like. It's fundamentally, there's another term called behemoth for deposits that are over 1 billion tons. So this is a very large deposit, over 1 million feet of drill core, but it's about 10 billion tons in total. Contains 107 million ounces of gold, 84 billion pounds of copper, 6.4 billion pounds of molybdenum plus rhenium and silver. So it's ranked as one of the largest metal deposits in the world.
Okay, so you said 84 billion pounds of copper?
Yes.
Why is copper so important?
Well, it's fundamental to the modern world and electricity. You can't make electricity. Electricity you don't find other than in lightning, but you can't make electricity without copper. You can't aggregate electricity or electrons without copper. You can't transmit or transport it without copper. You can't manage it from DC down to AC and back without copper, and you can't use it without copper. So fundamentally, you take kinetic energy, whether it's a windmill, a turbine, whatever, and use a copper armature to create electricity, random electrons. You aggregate those, send them down a line, convert them to an AC current, put them in a battery, and then that battery does the process in reverse with an armature to create kinetic motion to make your car move.
Okay, what is impacting the current and future production of copper?
Well, so we've been producing copper for mankind since the onset of the Bronze Age, which is about 5,000 years ago. It's got, a lot of attributes that people want. But the fact that electrification has really grown over the last, century. You take a look at urbanization. We see electricity everywhere. You use it constantly, lighting, heating, air conditioning, elevators, you name it. Then along comes the internet, and we've got massive uses of electricity for running the internet, for storage, for clouds. When you think about how many pictures you got and how you used to take pictures on film and store them, now you take many, many more pictures because they're just electrons and bytes, and you store them in the cloud. And the cloud is a polite euphemism for a server farm, a storage facility that's, typically dozens of square blocks and thousands of miles of copper wiring and storage facilities. So that has all driven copper usage up to about 25 million tons a year worldwide. Along comes a desire to go from fossil fuels to electricity and use electricity to drive motion instead of internal combustion engines. That is going to add at least 50%. Just the EV automobiles is going to add at least 50% to the amount of copper that we need. And most of the easy copper deposits in the world have been found and have been mined. And so going forward to try and find those mines that are going to provide that additional 12 to 15 million tons a year is almost impossible. The various agencies, S&P Global, CRA, And others say that we need to build roughly 8 Escondidas. That's the biggest copper mine in the world. We need to build 8 of them between now and 2030. That's impossible. There's only ever been one Escondida.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and Pebble's not even an Escondida. I mean, Pebble's about, you know, roughly 1% copper equivalent. Escondida was 3%. So where are all these copper mines going to come from? We're going to have to be very diligent and look at expanding copper production dramatically. We're going to have to be more judicious on recycling, although copper is already one of the most recycled metals in the world.
Okay, this has led me directly into my next question. What steps has Northern Dynasty taken to mine Pebble's resources sustainably?
So, you know, the biggest thing usually is defining the resource, then doing all the engineering to determine, you know, can you extract the metals economically, environmentally sound? And what we've done is we've spent $1 billion on this project since we acquired it in 2002, doing all of those things and making sure that, you know, we understand what the environment's like. Our environmental studies are about $200 million. We've spent, you know, probably about $350 million on engineering studies. We've actually created, I believe, a unique tailing storage facility, taking into account the history of tailing storage facilities. And that includes the problematic ones that have failed over the last decade, and put into place a structure that we think is not capable of failing. I mean, when you look at the heart of the reason why tailing structures fail, it's almost always due to water. And that is allowing too much water to accumulate in the storage facility and saturating it. And that's what causes the failure. So the key to running a safe tailing structure is to ensure that you don't accumulate water. So we've got 2 very large water treatment facilities. So we're constantly discharging water, and they're water treatment facilities so that we aren't discharging kind of mine water into the environment. We're treating it to whatever level the government dictates, including drinking water. And that's what gets discharged into the water. And then we started a permitting process in 2018. And we still are in that process. We got one of the most positive final environmental impact studies that I know of in North America. And it's become the record, but at the 11th hour during the last presidential political election campaign and the congressional and senatorial campaigns, Pebble became a bit of a ping pong ball in that process. And so we were denied the permit at the 11th hour, although the denial does not comport with any of the findings in the FEIS, which means we have to go back and revisit that final decision through an administrative or judicial appeal. And we're right in that process now. We're very close to the end of it.
Okay, wonderful. This brings me to my last easy question. How close is the Pebble project to production?
So, I mean, even once we get the Clean Water Act, and that's, you know, presuming that we would get it, there's probably a good 2 to 3 years of state permitting, and those are really construction permits, and TSF engineering work with the state, and final detailed engineering, and then a financing package. So construction would start probably 3 to 4 years, and construction would take 3 to 4 years.
Wonderful. I just have a really quick rapid fire round for you.
Okay.
Then we're all done. Are you ready? These are the actually hard questions.
We used to call this, you know, something for 5 points each.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
What is the first thing you do in the morning?
Unfortunately, open my phone, look at emails.
Honest. What is your favorite sport to watch?
Probably golf.
What's your favorite sport to play?
Well, it used to be baseball and hockey, but these days it's probably golf.
What is your favorite book?
You know what? I think this one right here,
Oh,
and I have 100 of them. I passed them out. It's called 50 Miles from Tomorrow, and it was written by a preeminent Alaska Native. And it talks about the transition from, you know, a life, an indigenous life of sustenance to a life in the modern world. And his village was 50 miles from a Western community. And the challenges when they got near that Western community, it was really hard on the indigenous people. Well, he made the transition through native schools, the Indian Bureau of Affairs high schools. He became a congressman. He became the architect of the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act. His name's Willie Hensley. And it's just an incredible read and gives you a better understanding of where the indigenous issues come from. Ooh. And amazingly, his solution is the best. I've operated in Tibet, in Chile, in Mexico, in South Africa, in Poland, in Canada, in the United States. And I would say the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act is the best piece of indigenous legislation relating to how natives can be involved and own their own resources, own their own assets, and manage them for their constituency, being their people.
Wow. We should
so if you've got anybody that wants one,
yeah,
ask me. I will send it to you free of charge. I'm Willie's #1 bookseller. It's a great piece. I mean, I give it to every politician I know and say, we need to get rid of a lot of things that we have on the books and put natives in charge of their lives.
Wow, that is the best answer I've gotten so far out of all these interviews for favorite book.
Well,
5 points.
I'd like to give away 1,000. So anybody that wants one, just put them in touch with me.
We know the guy. Value investor or day trader?
Oh, value investor. I hardly ever trade.
Suit and tie or casual?
Generally what you see. I've got lots of suits, but I like the little more casual look. I like a sports jacket.
If you had $1,000 to invest, what company would it be in if it wasn't your own?
There's so many. Can I break it down? Probably these days, I'd be looking either more in the copper sector or in the uranium sector. I mean, I think that, the renewables have a place in everything, but uranium is going to be the key to a real reduction in CO2 emissions. So that's the sector I'd be looking at.
I
come from Saskatoon, so Cameco is a great uranium mining company.
My very last question, what was the last movie that you watched? I don't know what mine is actually either.
Yeah, so I don't watch a lot of movies. There's one that my wife and I like a lot, and she usually has an asthma attack when she watches it. And I'm trying to remember, it's got Brad Pitt and Jason Statham in it. It's a Guy Ritchie movie about boxing, and Brad Pitt's an Irish gypsy, and diamond trading or stealing.
Sounds like she shouldn't be watching it, though.
I know.
Sounds dangerous.
Well, she just laughs so hard.
Oh, fair. Okay, that is all the time.
It's called Snatch. It's called Snatch because they snatch a diamond. They steal a diamond, these guys.
Oh, I haven't heard of this. Okay, I'll have to watch it.
Yes, it's hilarious.
Where can I send anyone watching this who's interested in learning more about your company?
The website, www.northerndynasty or the parent company, www.hdimining.com. So just you can do a Google search on Northern Dynasty or a Google search on Pebble Limited Partnership, and it'll take you to 1,000 places, but hopefully you land on mine.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me today, and hopefully we get to talk again in the future.
Perfect. Thank you, Maddy.